What up, YouTube? We're live from the Cobra's lair. We're doing a video response to a brand new video the lovely Sydney Watson posted. Now, Christmas is around the corner, and if you want to get an excellent gift for yourself or for the men in your life, you gotta check out Tactical Soap. All right, there's the link for my affiliate, and using coupon code KingCobra helps me make some cheddar for the holidays, and it helps you smell better for the ladies. I swear by Tactical Soap, man. I love washing with it. It's all natural, cold cut pressed pheromone soap is designed to get women in the mood, if you know what I mean. So yeah. Want to smell good for the of age ladies? Check it out, man. I'm excited to see what Scott Carr comes out with for Tactical Soaps, Bond, Durden, and Maverick #4. Should be good stuff. Yeah. Yes. Now, if you're going to be a negative dickhead, I'm just going to block you off from my channel. We're doing a video response to Sydney Watson's The Death of a Tomboy. She brought up a lot of good points in this video, and it made me reflect upon my childhood as a child goth and then progressing into an adult goth kind of thing, so we'll get into that. It's going pretty good. Thank you for asking. Just chilling out. I'm going to make me a big old cup of kratom tea and get into this video response. That God of War pheromone beard oil will have your beard softer than silk, and you'll be smelling sexy for the ladies. Check it out. A fan of mine has his own kratom company, so I want to plug that. Check out that stuff. Kratom is for 21 and up, as it does alter your state of mind. Totally legal too. No drink combo, just drinking some kratom. This is the Green Mang Da Bliss. Beautiful. I don't care if it's dangerous, I'll take my chances. Shout out to my Ireland fans and all my UK fans. That's what's up. Used one of my G Fuel scoopers from an empty container to portion it out into my cup. Now we add hot water and mix. Kratom tea, sipping, yes sirree. I'm not going to disable chat unless it gets out of hand. All right. Oh boy, let's get into it.
I am a man. Just trying to crack a cold one open with the boys, if you know what I'm... Hi, my My name is Sydney. Welcome back to hell.
Yeah, this is hell and I'm Satan. Yes, we're doing another video response to Sydney Watson. Shocker, I know. So if you hate the Sydney Watson video responses, now's your chance to go away. We don't need your kind here. Sydney Watson is a conservative female YouTuber who immigrated from Australia, the land of the down under. And she's currently residing in Texas. When I first discovered Sydney Watson, I did not agree with some of her talking points, but after I mulled it over in my head, I was like, shit, she's right. So now, I'm a fan of hers now. Kratom tea.
And as per usual, before we launch in, today's video is sponsored by Established Titles. And I just want to note as well.
And today's video is a not really sponsor, but I am a proud affiliate for Tactical Soap. I will be plugging it throughout the stream, my affiliate link and coupon codes. That way you can check out some of Scott Carr's amazing soap for men. Makes a great gift for the holiday season. The God of War beard oil is fantastic. I'm down to my slivers. I get a bunch of Tactical Soap when I can, and then when it gets down to like the slivers, I save them up and stack them in a box so I can always have some on backup. That's what's up.
That the reason I'll
be ordering more Tactical Soap when I can, that's for damn sure.
Posted for a month is because I actually flew home to Australia to surprise my parents. Those of you who've been around for a little while, you'll know that I hadn't seen my parents and my family for 3 years up until very recently, and it was really great to get home. I saw friends. I, did all the Australian stuff that I would be doing if I still lived in Australia. But I am back now. I am back in Texas, so I will be posting again as per usual, and yeah, back to the video. Now, the conversation around gender and sex and presentation has gotten a little, shall we say, complicated over the last number of years. So much so that we presently live in a time where if you're not an all-out hyper-feminine girly girl, so to speak, then people assume that you're something else, which is obviously
yep. As we've progressed throughout time, back in my day, we had tomboys, and there was nothing wrong with it, dude. As someone who painted their nails in high school, and I still do, people would look at me and the word gay or tranny would be thrown as an insult. Now, people just assume you're one of those things if you don't act stereotypically your gender. And then on top of that, instead of just letting kids be kids, it's being forced down their throats. And it's not cool.
Extremely helpful. You can probably already tell the kind of people that are going to pop up in this video. Sorry in advance. Let's think about the children of some choice celebrities just for a moment. Not like that though. That's weird. Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt's child, Shiloh, wanted to be called John and dressed masculine for most of her childhood, or at least what we could see of it. People assumed that the child was transgender, and lo and behold, some years later, the child's grown up and she is a girl. She wants to be a girl. She looks like a girl.
This is why you don't let kids get the transgendered surgery until they're 18. Because if she grew up and got the surgery, she'd be a lot more unhappy than she is now.
There you go. Last year, images of J-Lo's daughter began circulating where she's wearing baggy clothes, has short dyed hair, and looks pretty stereotypically boyish. People immediately made the assumption that she was either trans or non-binary and randomly started using gender-neutral pronouns for her. And this was a full year before she decided to come out as a they-them. Because
full year, that is called grooming. Instead of just assuming, oh, hey, not every girl is going to be into ponies and flowers. There are some girls who like to do, boyish things, work on cars. And honestly, I'm sick and tired of the way society treats situations like this. You go to a school and Susie likes to play soccer, and because sports are seen as a stereotypical man's sort of thing, they shove this ideology down their throat instead of just saying, hey, you know what? Kids are kids. They're going to have interests. They don't have to like stereotypical things that their gender likes.
I said, if you're not a girly girl, then you're something else entirely.
You're a weirdo.
Anyway, I've personally made my own comments about this issue over the last year or so. Last November, I tweeted a photo where I'm obviously wearing a lot of makeup and a backwards cap and essentially said, remember the time when you could be a tomboy without injecting yourself with hormones? And yeah, I mean, it obviously got the expected response. It got screenshot, posted on Reddit. I got called a transphobe.
She's not being transphobia. She was just making a point of reference that women should be allowed to be tomboys without people assuming they're transgender or lesbian or some dumb shit like that. This is exactly why women in the first place rebelled against society's gender norms. And you'll see that men have done this too. You look at musicians like Ozzy Osbourne, Danny Filth, for instance. I hate to use him as an example because it makes me sound like a spurg, but these men have long, luscious hair, not your stereotypical guy hair. And they're straight, heterosexual for of-age women. They're both married to lovely women themselves, and they both have kids of their own. And nobody thought twice about it. But growing up when I was a kid, it was different. I listened to Ozzy Osbourne and Cradle of Filth, and I'd paint my nails and wear goth makeup, and I'd dye my hair black, that kind of thing. And people would call me all kinds of shit growing up in high school, words like faggot and tranny. And those words continued to be used on YouTube to this day. People have called me names like that, and I just ignore it. I'm comfortable enough to be my goth heterosexual self, and you can't figure out who you are as people. You're jealous that Cobra has the balls to be himself on the internet, and you don't, so you attack Cobra for it because you're jealous. Sydney Watson wasn't being transphobic. She simply was making a statement, and it's the truth. Women should be allowed to be tomboyish without people assuming that they're either a lesbian or that they're some kind of trans or non-binary individual. And regarding J-Lo's kid, how is that not grooming? Instead of just being like, oh, well, you know, J-Lo's kid's a tomboy, so who cares? Not every girl is going to be a girly girl kind of thing, you know. They immediately started shoving pronouns like they, them down their throats. And then consequently, a year later, they came out as a they, them. I would call that grooming in a nutshell. How was that not grooming? I had a couple of goth chicks I went to high school with, and they got made fun of for wearing corpse paint to class. I, of course, being a fellow goth, stood up for them, and I was like, I think it looks cool, the corpse paint.
When I was growing up, if I saw a woman or a girl dressed in the same way.
Now, that's going back to what Sydney said on her like little November post. People, you know, like, I get it. You want to support trans people. I'm all for it, man. But there's a line you shouldn't be allowed to cross. I've been very vocal on this topic on my YouTube channel. That injecting kids with hormones that they don't need is kind of unnecessary. There's a lot harder to detransition than it is to transition. This is a kratom. Now, that's just the thing of it, man. When I was a kid growing up, the transgender thing wasn't forced down our throats. I could freely grow my hair long and paint my nails as a cisgendered heterosexual goth. And yes, did I get made fun of it in high school? Yes, I did. But people weren't forcing the whole trans thing down my throat. And as a consequence, later on in life, I grew up to accept trans people as just fellow human beings, as long as you ain't a sicko. If you want trans people to have acceptance in our society, forcing people to accept them is only going to make people accept them less.
As Angelina Jolie or J.Lo's daughters, I'd have assumed they were either tomboys or just shirking female fashion. Today, the assumption is something else.
No, females shirking female fashion is nothing new. Like, you look at like the 60s, the 70s, 80s, 90s, early 2000s, women in the punk movement, these gender-based stereotypes that women and men have to face, that, oh, women have long, luscious hair and men have short hair. And you see people like, especially in the 60s and 70s, breaking that mold and gender conformity and that kind of thing.
That if you aren't heavily participating in feminine female stereotypes, then you probably aren't a female. And at least in my
That's what pisses me off about our fucking society anymore. So it's between the assholes who call you a faggot and a tranny because you don't conform to society's gender norms, and they use it as an insult, to people who do it because they just assume you are because of you're not conforming to gender-based roles. Instead of meeting somewhere in the middle and being like, let's not use it as an insult, and at the same time, let's not just assume that's because that's how they are. You know what I'm saying?
opinion, that's a problem, not just for society on the whole, but for the women and girls who are being conditioned to think that their non-feminine interests mean that something is wrong with them. So that's what we're going to talk.
That's what pisses me off about the whole thing, honestly, is that women who express interests in things that are stereotypically seen as for boys, quote unquote, they get told there's something wrong with them or that you're trans or whatever. And that's not necessarily the case.
Today, the death of the tomboy. But before you once again board my hell gondola, and together we take yet another journey down into the depths of weirdness and depravity, let's hear from today's sponsor, Established Titles. Sydney, what? Because we are currently in Australia, I don't have my established title certificate showing that I am a lady.
And here's the thing of it: if you want to support the channel, considering donating to the Cash App or PayPal, or subscribing to my Patreon, where I give you monthly shout outs, buy a t-shirt from my customized girl. I have a brand new Christmas t-shirt on there. That's pretty funny, I think. I think you'll like it. Or buy some of that tactical soap. Yeah, I'll put that in the chat right there. Beautiful.
I'm gonna have to draw it. Draw what? A certificate. You're so bad at art. I'm so bad at art. Okay, well, draw the individual plot of land and number that you get when you sign up. And draw the Scottish woodlands that you'll save because the step.
Any advice with dealing with haters? Let them be your biggest motivators and ignore them. That's my advice. Give them a little bit of attention so they give you twice the amount of attention back, and then ignore it. It's a psychological mind fuck on your haters. That's my advice.
Titles, plants a tree for every order placed.
Considering that I do not have to harass my trolls in real life just to fuck with them, all I gotta do is go live and make a video. See what I'm saying?
I'm not Bob Ross. I'll draw one tree. Okay, whatever, one tree. Then tell everybody that the next 200 people who sign up and purchase a title pack using our link will effectively be next to our plot, you know, like within a few minutes walking distance. The Siddom. Okay, it's finished. Let's just use some B-roll. Get yourself this fancy certificate by becoming a lord or lady with established titles, which is based on a historic Scottish custom where landowners refer to themselves as lairds and ladies. And like I mentioned, established titles works with global charities like One Tree Planted and Trees for the Future to support global reforestation efforts. So click the link in the description or head over to Established Titles and take advantage of their massive Black Friday sale, as well as using code Sydney for 10% off your entire purchase. If you grew up in the 80s and 90s and even the early 2000s, then you can probably remember women and girls in TV, film, and entertainment who didn't fit the girly girl mold. These girls typically were rough and tumble. They rejected stereotypical femininity in favor of sports cars, baggy clothes, rock and roll music, or whiny music. I see you, Avril Lavigne.
Like Tom, there's nothing wrong with being a tomboy. Billie Eilish is a beautiful singer, and she's considered to be more tomboyish with her baggy clothes. And women and men, they get tired of these gender-based society expectations. Like men are supposed to be able to grow a beard and build a cabin, fix cars, while women sit daintily in the kitchen, make sandwiches, and fetch the man the pipe and the slippers and today's paper and a martini. Fuck that.
I see you. You know, I'm not ashamed to admit, I really liked Avril Lavigne. I'm not sorry about it. She may have been an inspiration for a period of time where I looked like this. And of course, there were equivalents on the male side, the frat boy and the jock versus the nerd and the bookworm. But the tomboy wasn't necessarily portrayed as a bad thing. Actually, most of the time, these girls and women were kind of badass. Movies like It Takes Two and The Parent Trap actually put these kind of girls side by side. Both films were centered around twin sisters, one being portrayed as the perfect proper princess, while the other was the spunky, sporty tomboy. But even before that, people were exposed to tomboys in classic literature, such as Jo in Little Women, Laura in Little House on the Prairie, and Scout in To Kill a Mockingbird. Now, tomboys existing
That's
in
my video response. I'll be working on my music, so there you go.
might not seem all that important, especially given the fact that it was something of a cliche in 90s films in particular, especially teen girl dramas. But it actually represented something kind of great. Options. Options
What's up,
for
JFS
girls.
fan
Be
girl?
how you want. You want to wear dresses or a skirt? Go right ahead. Have at it. You want to have the pink Hello Kitty backpack and buy lip smackers and show all your friends your super cool armbands? I actually don't remember if lip smackers were an Australian or American thing or both, so I'm just going to show you a photo and you're just going to pretend that you know what I'm talking about. Okay?
I recognize that brand. I'm a 90s baby. I recognize the reference.
Okay. But if the pink and the sparkles and the Hello Kitty stuff wasn't your thing, well, that was also perfectly fine as well. You know, you can put on your baggy pants and wear your etnies or your DC shoes and skateboard and eat the burgers and smash some beer with the boys. You could be any mix of the two. You could be one or the other, or you could be neither and settle somewhere perfectly in the middle ground as a neutral something or other. The point is, women and girls had the option.
Ray, this is 1987. Did you know that a girl can be whatever she wants to be?
I know, my mom's a plumber.
It seems like today, despite wokeness and so-called progressive liberal feminism, women and girls have fewer options than ever when it comes to being who they are and who they want to be. Of course, the hyper-feminine option still exists.
This is your very first Cobra live stream. That's what's up. Did Hillary Clinton die? I don't believe that. If she did, condolences to Bill, even though I wasn't the biggest Hill Dog fan. Hey Siri, can you look up Hillary Clinton?
Hillary Diane Clinton is an American politician, diplomat, and former lawyer who served as the 67th United States Secretary of State.
Hey Siri, did Hillary Clinton die?
Hillary Clinton was born the 26th of October,
Oh,
1947.
that was a troll. Okay, never mind. Ignore the trolls.
Although that's still the basis by which it seems plenty of people decide they must be transgender. They like nail polish, long hair, makeup, and so on, as if any of these things are actually what defines womanhood.
No, boobs, vaginas, makeup, long hair, and nail polish do not define women. They really don't.
In fact, they're not. And although being
I love
And
Sally.
that's the whole point that women who dress like tomboys are trying to make, is that these gender-based expectations do not define what makes a woman. You know, just like being a disgusting sexist pig doesn't define being a male.
We design furniture for life, real life, messy life.
Being stereotypically feminine is all over the place, from entertainment to social media to magazines to other kinds of media. There doesn't seem to be too many other options for how to exist as a female. And like I've already mentioned, if you do something besides the hyper feminine, then you are considered gender non-conforming, non-binary, or some version of transgender. Because apparently you can only look one specific way as a female. Something I actually find genuinely hilarious for no good reason other than the fact that it's just funny to me is that all of these women who identify as something other than a woman all look like this. I teach in an elementary school. Anyway, the trouble is, if a woman or a girl isn't the girliest of girls, then the question becomes, are you really a boy? And if so, then something should probably be done about that. Although it's challenging to pinpoint when precise.
My opinion on John Lennon, I like John Lennon, man. He's cool.
It happened, the concept of the tomboy and the usage of it has become more or less obsolete. Actually, if I'm being dramatic, I'd say the death of the tomboy is a casualty of modern gender ideology. The concept of gender fluid and then transgenderism took.
Yeah, how is gender fluid? Because when I think of fluids, I'm like this. Fluids are liquids. Gender cannot be liquid. This is verbal nonsense. This is a fluid. Fluids are liquid. I'm not trying to pick on the trans people, but goddamn it.
Over a woman's perception of her own masculine behaviors. In 2017, an article titled "My Daughter Isn't Transgender, She's a Tomboy" was published by the New York Times. Of course, it was met with backlash. People accused the writer of suppressing her child's gender identity. The author explained how her daughter is often.
No drink combos today as of yet, but if you'd like to donate towards a new drink combo, consider donating to CashApp or PayPal. I'll give you a shout out.
Asked by doctors, teachers, and people who have known her for many years if she feels like or wants to be called a boy, simply because she doesn't fit the stereotypical mold of the girly girl. The mother writes that when people.
The problem with our society is that because of these gender-based roles, if men do things that are seen as effeminate, or if women do things that are seen as masculine, they're torn apart for it. This is where the whole trans thing started. It's because some people identified as, some people did not. There's a big difference between a punk hard rocker and a trans person. You know, the person who's a hard rocker, rocking long hair, likes metal and shit, and the person doing it because of their gender. There's a big difference.
Continue to question her child's gender identity and are skeptical of the child's response. The message they send is that a girl cannot look and act like her and still be a girl. Left alone, would boys really never wear pink? That's rhetorical. Pink was for decades considered a masculine color. Would girls naturally reject Matchbox cars? Of course not. But if they show preferences for these things, we label them. Somehow, as we have broadened our awareness.
That's what pisses me off about society. It's just like the labels anymore, you know.
Of and support for gender nonconformity, we've narrowed what we think a boy and a girl can look like and do. You needn't look too far to find plenty other examples of this across the internet. Parents asking if their daughter is in fact a boy because she happens to like non-stereotypical girly things. Doctors and teachers helping children determine that they're in the wrong body based on their superficial interests.
I have a 5-year-old assigned male at birth kid, and she went to her dad's this weekend, who is, transphobic. So she has to change into shorts before she goes up.
Okay, if you're 5 years old, you don't get to be trans. I'm sorry, but kids at that age have a wild and active imagination. And nothing against trans people. I get why we have all these things in our society because gays, LGBTQIAA plus have been bullied for decades. And now we're being forced to accept it. And instead of being forced to accept it, you should teach people to accept it. There's a difference. So that being said, if an innocent 5-year-old who has no idea or concept of what it means, you know what I'm saying? They just do it because they want to please their parents and fit in with society, not because they actually.
Because she's not allowed to wear dresses. I told her it was time to go change for daddy's house, and she ran and got this cute little yellow dress with zebras all over it. She seemed really excited to show it to her dad, and she had a panic attack.
See, it's very normal for little boys to wear dresses and play pretend. That doesn't mean they're trans. There's this thing called make believe and having an imagination. That episode of SpongeBob where he's like with the rainbow imagination. Hey, YouTube, King Cobra JFS is live again. Tremendous voice. Curses crabs foiled again. Hey, frickin' sweet. Hey, Lois. He does voice impressions. Kermit the Frog, you bear! Somebody's doing voice impressions. Imagination.
I told her she had to put on shorts. She was afraid she wouldn't be able to find the right shorts.
This woman looks like exactly the kind of person that wants to trans their child.
So I sent her father a text and I was like, yo, she's having.
Yeah, there are people who want to do this crap to their kids because their kids are too immature to make a decision for themselves so they can seem woke and progressive to the rest of the world. Like, look at me, it's disgusting. One of those little things that makes it look bad for trans individuals and the community itself.
Panic attack because of this. And his response? Put Bug in boy clothes. Obviously, I did not make the child change because she was upset enough as it was.
Okay, if you're a 90s baby and you went to McDonald's as a kid, you know what's up. You go in the ball pit and play with your friends. I can remember as a kid playing in the McDonald's ball pits and taking the plastic balls and stuffing them in my shirt to look like boobs and then going like that and laughing about it hysterically because that's what kids do. It's silly and it's fun. It has nothing to do with being trans or any of that.
Home last night and almost immediately changed into a dress. She spent all weekend being told that she has to be a boy and that she's not allowed to get tattoos.
And started saying, I'm a boy. And at the time, we just thought it was cute. It was a phase. I thought maybe I would have a tomboy.
It was around 3 that we started to hear it, but around 4 years old was when it got very strong.
I'm sure what a lot of people can't believe about your story is that at 3 years old, a little girl can say, I'm a little boy.
This is 8-year-old Ryland today.
Over the fence.
After much research, counseling, and soul searching, Jeff and Hillary say they came to the inescapable conclusion that Ryland's gender identity did not match the sex on her birth certificate. So
the reason why we're seeing so much gender dysphoria in today's society is because society is being forced to accept a narrative rather than just letting them accept it. My concept of drag and all that was Bugs Bunny dressing up like Elmer Fudd to fuck with Elmer Fudd or whatever, you know what I'm saying? And I didn't see anything wrong with it. I saw it as comic relief. Bugs Bunny dressing up as a chick to fuck with Elmer Fudd.
5, Ryland began living as a boy. Ryland remembers how he refused to wear clothes made for girls.
And that's just the stupid thing about it. Clothes are clothes, period. This whole, well, that clothes are made for boys, or that clothes is made for girls. That's stupid. It's fabric. Fabric, okay, is not gender specific.
Showing my mom and dad that I was a boy.
Okay, but seriously, this feels like a fever dream. Obviously, this side of the issue is very odd and concerning, but what I find especially weird is when people take literary or fictional female characters and insist because they're non traditional in the way that they do things, they must be transgender or something other than a woman. Actually, this is pretty common with historical figures too, Joan of Arc being the most recent example. I actually saw an article recently that suggested Jo from Little Women is both trans and queer. For those who aren't familiar, Jo is a character who views herself as an equal to her male counterparts during a time when society probably did not. She's outspoken and unapologetic about not being interested in female stereotypes. This, like I said, according to activists and left wing journalists, makes her queer or trans. Ugh. This myopic understanding of what makes a male and female is such a driving force behind modern gender ideology and hilariously reinforces the very ideas progressives are trying to dismantle. Modern gender activists have blockaded roads women and girls used to take to self acceptance. Now they prefer to use labels like gender nonconformity. And when they say gender nonconformity, what they really mean is someone who either isn't blue all the time or pink all the time. In other words, an individual with a personality. It seems like today, personality and gender are interchangeable, with more young people, especially girls, believing their lack of interest in looking or acting like Kim Kardashian means there's some special other.
As I stated in my last continuing where we left off video, responding to the end of the stream and all that, Hollywood puts on this unrealistic expectation for women and men to look a certain way, often unrealistic and hard to achieve, man. And it's bullshit. Because like men who act or do things like paint their nails are seen as effeminate or trans, not because maybe you're punk rock or goth or emo or scene. It's ridiculous. That's always the assumption. Now it's no longer being, it still gets used as an insult, but then on top of that, now it's being like, oh, so you're one of those now? Oh, you're so stunning and brave. I can actually see South Park doing an episode about this, where like the goth kids are being told, all the goth scene emo kids and vampire kids and all that. People are thinking they're trans or whatever, or drag or whatever. It'd be a funny fucking episode too. Just people walking around up to the goth kids. Oh, congratulations. You know what I'm saying, kind of thing. And they're like, we're not trans, we're freaking goth. I could just see the episode right now. Yeah. Ike's joining a drag queen show for toddlers or some shit. That'd be a really messed up episode, but there you go.
Way of thinking is being reinforced all over the place. Now, the insistence that rejecting stereotypes associated with your sex means that you're in fact the opposite sex or no sex is finally being addressed by some governments around the world because there are inevitable issues that arise from telling children, especially, that they're in the wrong body. The Department for Education.
That is my point exactly. Children grow up, they're so precious and innocent to the world, and the world itself is confusing enough. And then you confuse them by telling them this stuff. That, oh, sweetie, just because you do things like the boys, you must be a boy, and that's bullshit.
And skills in the UK instructed teachers not to tell girls who act tomboyish that their gender is male. The guidelines state
exactly my point. Let kids be kids, damn it. If girls want to dress up like boys or be more tomboyish, if men want to be more effeminate, let them. Who gives a fuck? It doesn't have to do with anything trans or gay or whatever. You know what I'm saying? I'm all for supporting transgendered individual rights and the keeping kids safe and all that. You know what I'm saying? But when you're forcing the whole trans narrative down people's throats, yeah, no. that just because Susie plays soccer, she must be a boy. Fuck that, dude.
Children should not be led to believe that their preferences mean that their personalities or bodies are wrong, which feels insane because, like, most of us know this by default, but
Yeah, most of us are like, hey, you know what? Girls or guys are going to be different in that sense. Not every guy is going to be your football playing jock asshole who bullies nerds and gets the chicks, man. You know, you're going to have the more sensitive guy who can still get chicks with his wits and guitar playing kind of thing. Not every chick you meet's going to be a ditzy little bimbo. You know what I'm saying?
gender ideology and its fanatics don't seem to agree. What's funny is that the efforts of these people to broaden the definition of gender and fight stereotypes has actually.
But can we define gender anymore? Because you got trans people who say that gender is an abstract concept and does not exist, at the same time demanding that people call them by their preferred gender. So I'm like, that's an oxymoron, dude.
Done the opposite. They've trapped people in stereotypes and forced children into bodies that are not theirs. And they completely killed off the concept that women don't need to be girly girls in the process. You now have to get a micro fringe and pierce your septum and make TikToks. Join us. Am I TikToking correctly? Am I doing it right? My nose right.
So basically, rather than letting girls be girls and say, you know what, honey, you can do whatever you want. You don't got to conform to some gender-based, you know, cookie cutter housewife, girly girl bullshit. You want to dress up in baggy clothes and go for it. It should not have to reflect on your gender, but merely that people are people, you know?
But this isn't just about women being forced into potentially transgenderism because they don't fit female stereotypes. This also has to do with the creation of new gender labels and trendy gendered stuff that didn't exist in the past because there wasn't any need for it. Simply because you didn't like stereotypical female things didn't make you a brand new gender, it just made you a female with your own interests.
Thank you.
It's time we stop letting the little things slip through the cracks. If you don't caulk and weather strip your home, you could be
Yeah, because 20 years ago, if women were to do things that were seen as tomboyish, nobody thought it was because you were trans. Some people might have talked shit and called you a lesbian or a trans or whatever, but for the most part, people were like, you're a girl with your own interests kind of thing. So, yeah.
Birth parents said that I was a girl, but they made a mistake.
Yeah, us too.
Yeah.
Right? So your mommy and I, we assumed that you were a girl. But then when did you set us straight?
Well, I was at least like 5 or 6.
But it started before that. You kept sending us signals, right? You'd say, sometimes I want to be a boy.
Yeah.
Sometimes I want to be a girl. Something just doesn't seem right here.
Well, I wasn't a girl or a boy.
Ah, so what are you?
Non-binary.
Right. And how do you feel about being non-binary?
Good.
Your mom and I have tried our best to support you and make that like something that's celebrated in our household. Have you ever spoken to your class about your gender?
Yeah.
What did you tell them?
I told them my pronouns and also my name.
I also want to make note of this, but I wasn't really sure where it fit in.
I don't need alcohol. It's honestly a want. But if you want to donate to the Booze Fund, anything specific, feel free to do so. I'm working on my music after the stream.
Video, so I'm just going to add it here. I know that there is a cohort of women and girls who do not identify as women and want to distance themselves from their sex because of things in their past, like trauma or abuse or some sort of sexual abuse, or even just feeling extremely uncomfortable with their female form and their female bodies. They're not really who I'm talking about in this video, but I just wanted to make mention of the fact that they are some of the people who fall into this category, but they are not the primary focus of what I am saying here. They are basically their own issue unto themselves. People seem to forget that the term tomboy was really just a catch-all for women and girls who just liked kind of atypical things. And while I've talked about this quite a lot in other videos about—
I'll be hanging out with my family on Thanksgiving and traveling. That's all I'm saying.
Topic, I think it bears repeating that many of the core tenets associated with being a tomboy or tomboyism are now diagnosable markers of gender dysphoria in girls, and basically the indication.
why does it always have to be gender dysphoria? If girls want to do like more tomboyish things, then that's good. That not all women are the same, and that there are going to be some women who prefer to do more masculine things, whereas there are some men who are more effeminate, and there's nothing wrong with that, as long as you ain't a sicko
That, well, maybe
or
you're
a
in the
racist or a
wrong
sexist
body.
or an
Funnily enough,
abuser.
our friend John Money, and he really pops up a lot, this guy, who I've also mentioned previously, and one of the founding fathers of gender ideology, claimed that assertive play and boyish behavior in girls was a sign of a fetal abnormality. Yes, you heard that correct. In his book, Men and Women, Boys and Girls, Money claimed that the most likely hypothesis to explain the various features of tomboyism in fetally masculinized genetic females is that their tomboyism is a sequel to a masculinized effect on the fetal brain. Now, obviously, gender ideology is not new, and John Money's book.
What am I thankful for? My family, my friends, my YouTube career, all the amazing talents and people I have in my life. I'm definitely thankful for this apartment. You have no idea. And super thankful that my landlord is a fan of my videos. I'm thankful for just everything going good in my life, you know, that it could be worse. And I'm thankful for all of you just tuning in to watch my video and spreading the good message. This is not a disgusting video. This is a sincere video that I'm trying to do here because I get so tired of, you know, people doing this crap. That you don't fit the gender norm kind of thing, you know. One of the things that drew me to Cradle of Filth when I first got into them, I was looking up ghost videos on Google Video because I am that old. YouTube popped up with Her Ghost in the Fog. And yeah, dude, I liked the gothic aspect of it, and it captivated me. Yeah, Cradle of Filth actually helped me open up my mind to a lot of different genres of music. Yeah. I own my fucking trolls, otherwise they wouldn't pay Danny Filth to give me a shout out, which I thought was fucking hilarious, by the way. I'm gonna pretend to be Courtney and pay Danny Filth to tell Cobra to brush his teeth. He'll get so pissed off. Oh my god, that's good. I didn't get mad at that because I'm like, hey man, you paid one of my idols to give me a shout out. Appreciate that. Danny Filth and Ozzy Osbourne are dying for a really long time. So yeah, there we go.
From 1972. Times have changed, but this ideology still exists and continues to morph and adapt as time wears on, permeating major institutions and turning into something that has infected countless areas of life. The most ironic thing here is that progressives think that their ideas are in fact progressive, but the reality is that they haven't changed their conceptualization of this issue since the 60s and 70s. Progressives not.
No, and here's the thing of it, there's a big difference between being progressive and perverted. I thank you.
Actually being progressive? Crazy. I wonder if they know that. Probably not. For example, Money's claim that assertive or boyish traits in a girl were a sign that she was actually a boy has become so mainstreamed that it is platformed.
Did you win Ozzy Osbourne's Demon Car? That's pretty sweet, dude. I loved that ad. It made me fucking laugh. Congrats on that. Exactly. Updated just now. You said it. You don't have to be a girly girl to be considered a woman. That women are allowed to be more masculine and men are allowed to be more feminine. But both sides get a fair amount of crap for not conforming to gender-based norms.
By lifestyle outlets. In September 2021, a mother wrote to Insider that her biologically female child came out to her at 2 years old. The mother writes that when she tried to enforce a girl bob on her 3-year-old female child, the child emphatically said no, she wanted a haircut similar to her older male cousin. I pressed on with the bob style, almost pushing to the point of tears, the mother says. Then I decided to follow my gut and give my child what I knew was needed. Pictures of little boy haircuts. Yes, yes, that one. The joy and validation were evident on his face. So your kid wanted a short haircut, and now she'll be medicalized for the rest of her life. What is happening?
It doesn't have to be medicalized. Like I said, just because the younger generation decides to be more effeminate or more masculine doesn't mean you have to pump them full of hormones and force them to be trans. Just saying. I'm all for supporting trans people, and if kids genuinely believe that they are trans, I support it. As long as you don't get the surgery until you're 18 or older. Because if you do not, it can cause a multitude of health problems, such as cancer, hair loss, and you're permanently scarred for life on top of it. No, I lost my hair due to drugs, shitty diets, and balding just naturally runs on my side of the family. But I don't care if I'm bald. I could give 4 fucks less. Hair does not define a man. What have we been saying this whole goddamn time? That hair does not define your gender. Because you got women who grow their hair long and luscious, and then you got women who have their hair shorter. It doesn't matter, okay? It's just fucking hair.
If all of this was a matter of identification, of some brand new spanking word coming in to replace tomboy,
Nicotine primarily.
that still refers to a boyish girl, that would be one thing. But that's not what's happening here. This new conceptualization of gender that we have comes with
I do not think Chris Chan is actually trans. I think he's super autistic and he was manipulated by some sick assholes on the internet. That's what I think.
pretty negative consequences that.
But yeah, fuck Chris Chan fucking his mom, nasty motherfucker. That's disgusting.
Word tomboy did not have. The last number of years has shown us a tremendous increase in children seeking transition services all around the world. In 2018, there was a 4,000% increase in girls doing so in the UK, and similar numbers have come out in the United States. There are a multitude of reasons for this, but I believe one of them is because as our society has apparently opened up, our definitions of what makes a girl has become a lot narrower.
Yes, I would get a hair transplant for the top where it's thinning, if I could afford it. Some plugs. I would get hair plugs if I could afford it, but I cannot. Hair doesn't make the music or the rock and roll. And to be quite frank with you, I would still support Ozzy Osbourne, Danny Filth, even if they were trans and they dyed their hair pink. You know what I'm saying? So fuck up with this. Oh, Cobra, you're a transphobe.
Things that made you a tomboy 20 years ago now mean that you're in the wrong body and you're not.
Yes, I am autistic, but not as autistic as Chris Chan. It's a kratom company that my YouTube fan owns. It's a powdered kratom. You pour it in the glass with some hot water. You ever tried butt chugging alcohol? No, I haven't.
conformity must be medicalized. It might sound extreme, but it seems that modern gender activists are actually forcing women and girls to choose between two equally crappy paths.
Kratom powder tastes kind of like plant-like and a little bitter, but it's all right because right now I'm feeling pretty good. I got this mind high and this body high. I feel relaxed and content. Yeah.
Either be a pink dress wearing bimbo or disassociate yourself from womanhood, inject yourself with experimental hormones, and cut your breasts off. It's one thing to not want to be a girly girl, it's another thing to medicalize and turn a tomboy into a lifelong big pharma customer. Those of us who grew up in the 90s and early 2000s had ways of expressing ourselves and the things that we liked, our hobbies, interests, clothing choices, without it meaning something more. Better yet, there were people we could actually emulate. Women who didn't.
Well, I don't need alcohol to have a good time. That's the thing of it. I want to drink. I don't need to drink. That's the difference. Yep. And sometimes it's just good to take a couple of days off from drinking. Let your liver rest and your tolerance for alcohol goes down, which is nice.
Stereotypes who were still
Plus, it's like 1:14 in the afternoon, so it's a little early to be having a drink. Oh, excuse me.
comfortably female. Today, celebrities who fall outside the so called binary style themselves as non binary or transgender, and very few of them express their femaleness in a way that sits outside the stereotypical norm. The result is that girls have nobody to look up to, and we're more boxed in than ever before.
Do I take any other drugs or substances? I enjoy alcohol, tobacco, weed, and shrooms primarily. I have fucked with acid. It's really intense. You got to be careful doing that. But I see why Jimi Hendrix likes it.
In the end, some could argue that the death of the tomboy has not been a net positive for society, and if anything, our new definitions and comprehension of this issue.
Have I ever tried opium? And no, I haven't. Whippets, I have done those.
Just gotten a lot narrower for girls, which in turn does not assist us in any way, shape, or form. Tomboy, in days gone by, was just a word used to describe women and girls who were a little bit atypical, who maybe didn't fit the girly girl mold, and that was okay. And let's not forget that we had a lot more options. Options that simply, at least in my opinion, just don't exist today. Now, before I open the floor to all of you, this is just a reminder to check out established titles using the link in the description. They're having a massive Black Friday sale, so go take advantage of that. Use my code Sydney for an additional 10% off your entire purchase. Now, I open the floor to all of you. What do you all think? Is the tomboy an important characteristic for women? Is it something that we should use to describe women again?
No, it's not, because that's the kind of crap that hurts our society.
Make a comeback? Do you think that it's outdated, that we don't need it, and in fact, the new way that we think about women and girls is actually a lot better? What do you make of the stereotypes that we use to tell kids that they're trans or non-binary, or women and girls that they're trans and non-binary?
Kids don't understand what trans is. They have no concept of it. So telling them they're trans just because they don't conform to gender norms is simply disgusting, in my opinion. If kids come to that decision on their own choice and they wait till they're 18 to have the surgery, that's one thing. But having adults shove it down their throat because, oh well, you do things that are more masculine or more feminine. Yeah, screw that noise, dude. Fuck sickos.
What do you think of the concept of gender and sex as a general rule in society today? And what do you generally make
I
of
generally think, Sydney, that the concept of gender is blurred and it's all just it's a mess.
this issue overall? As always, if you like the video,
I think that, hey, if you're a dude and you want to paint your nails, if you're a chick and you want to wear baggy jeans, go for it.
hit subscribe and the thumbs up button. If you want to leave a comment, free to do so, just be respectful about it. And I will see you guys next time.
Another Sydney Watson video response in the books. All right. Now, before we close out the episode, going on an hour-long stream here. That's what's up. Appreciate y'all tuning in. I do it for the fans, to be honest. Look at that. I got $8.09. That's what's up. Who'd we get it from? I'm going to transfer that to my bank because my account is in the negative. This will help get it out of the negative. Lovely. I totally support trans and gay rights, man, but you should not force kids to accept it or automatically assume that's how they are because they dress or act a certain way. That's kind of insulting to gays and trans people, if you ask me. Thank you, Christopher, for your $15 donation to PayPal. He says, can you shout out to Skudax? It's his birthday, and we're huge fans. Would love to buy a wand from you someday. Yes, happy birthday to Skudax, and thank you for watching. We'll get off the stream here in a second. Just going to give a couple shout outs. Okay, those are all the PayPal shout outs. Sweet. We're going to Cash App, see if I got anything there. And you guys don't have to donate. You really don't. You know, but if you do, it's greatly appreciated. I do it for the fans. I don't do it for the money. The money is a bonus, to be honest. Mm-hmm. One second. Hey, we got $3 in the Cash App. Fuck yeah. Thanks, guys and gals, they, thems. Appreciate ya. Shout out to Lois Snyder and a shout out to Jen. Thank you for your $3 donation to Cash App. And I will plug the link for Tactical Soap one more time. This soap's amazing. I love wearing it. It's cold cut pressed soap. It's all natural, no harsh chemicals. Check that out. Holidays are right around the corner. You want to smell sexy for the ladies? That's how you do it. Anyways, tubes, fuck sickos. I'll catch you later.